All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Open Live Q&A. My name is Miss McLogan, and this is week number 139. Thank you so much for joining me on tonight. And the title for this live stream is How to Go Ahead and Ace Precalculus. So very excited to talk about this, as Precalculus is definitely one of those courses that I spent a lot of time, the most amount of time, at least teaching inside of the classroom. So happy to answer any of you guys' questions. Also kind of let you guys know some of my tidbits and secrets, and then also kind of let you know, kind of the purpose of, why I kind of, in addition to, with all that, also the course that I am offering to you guys, or just letting you guys know about if you are taking pre-calculus, and everything I talk about tonight also kind of fits into some of your needs that you're looking into for pre-calculus, because again, that's really is everything that I think where a kind of online course really best fits in is like, does it satisfy your current needs? And it's not going to be the right fit for every single student and every single year. And so we've definitely had some interesting years over the past. I'm trying to get my comments. There we go. And so it is and so yeah, so I know a lot of you guys are now just now getting back to class. You're kind of feeling in how things are going. And yeah, so you got to kind of like figure out pre-calculus. And it is a different course. And that's the main thing that I think that's why I like talking about pre-calculus a little bit differently, because I'm going to go over some of my advice to help you guys out with any of your math classes. Because I think one of the most common things I get on these live streams is like, hey, how do I do good in this class? How do I do good in that class? And the majority of it is like all the same stuff. And I'm going to repeat this over and over and over to you guys. It's the same thing a lot. But there are some differences for pre-calculus and for some other classes. So I'm definitely going to kind of stress in on those. And then I'll also have some standalone video or some longer form videos that you guys will see on my channel that will also talk a little bit more specifically on some pre-calculus topics or stuff like that. So, but yeah, we're going to definitely going to talk generally about some things. I'll get into definitely some pre-calculus stuff, and then also to let you guys know from there. Then again, if you guys have questions, feel free to always add them into the comment section. You guys can also go ahead and let you guys know that, where is have my questions? There you go. If you guys do have any math questions, as always, this is always a free stream. This is what I always recommend you guys do, would be to, I always recommend you guys go ahead and join in on the stream and ask your math questions, right? Math has started. I know for you guys in the United States, right? Labor Day is tomorrow, so a lot of you guys do not have school. But if you guys do have any math questions are coming up, you already started school, always feel free to go to brianmclogan.com/Q&A. And then also just to remember, for those of you guys that are bringing back or started back school, you can also guys go back and visit the Discord server to go ahead and get help for you guys on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those up there. And then also this is a, how would I put this? This is a kind of like a promotional stream as well. Like I do have a course that I am offering, right? And this is my only stream that I'm really going to kind of like make a pitch on it, because I'm talking about pre-calculus. So if you are taking pre-calculus and you are interested in checking out my course, then you can go ahead and take a look for it down below. So, I think I'm going to have a couple videos where I'll let you guys, I'll pitch the course and everything. But really that's about it. Like I really kind of do a couple live streams throughout the year, and that's kind of it, going from there. So, let's see. All right, let's see. Is there a way around memorizing unit circle? Yes, there is. I actually have a video that will be coming out. I actually need to record it, so it won't be maybe coming out this week or maybe next week. But I do have a video on that I will be talking about. And hey, crazy Nacho. I got a pre-calculator that's not great. Anyway, of dealing with this and being successful. Yeah, absolutely. You don't. The main thing I always tell students is when they always talk about like another teacher, like, your teacher is your understanding or your success in the class is not going to be dependent on a teacher. So, you definitely got to keep on pushing through, make sure you're going through content, make sure you're getting the help that you need. And then obviously a lot of things that I'm going to talk about on this live stream, I think can be very beneficial for you as well. In polynomials, how will you know if the pot is a perfect square trinomial? That's a great question. So the first term and the last term have to be square. And then the middle term is going to be twice the kind of the square root of those terms. So like if you take the square root of your first and your last term, right, and then multiply them by 2, multiply them together, and then times 2, that would be your middle term. So it's a little bit easier when you're kind of looking at numbers from on there. but hopefully it maybe made a little sense. If you have a question though, a specific one, you can always go ahead and throw it at brianmclogan.com/Q&A. That'll give me a little bit more time to analyze it from there. Going to be really hard or no? I have a question. Is geometry going to be, oh, well, I mean, that all depends on how you're approaching it and where everything's up. Harna, how do I memorize things like solving parabolas or directrix or something? Yeah, I mean, conic sections can be a lot, as far as understanding that. I think just really, I never tell my students to memorize things. I always say, you got to put in the work. You got to practice things. And that's it. So I always say hey, if you don't understand something, then, or if you're trying to memorize it, you probably haven't done enough practice problems for it. And that's, really, I don't really, I'm not a big proponent of trying to memorize, math stuff and stuff, math grades and formulas and stuff like that. Sorry, Gavin. I know, a little bit late. Best tips for studying. Yeah, I would just say, well, one of the things I'm going to talk about, actually, let's get into those tips for pre-calculus. So how to ace pre-calculus. Now, if you are joining the stream, it's either you are interested in how to ace a class, or maybe you are taking pre-calculus. So if you're interested in taking pre-calculus, obviously you guys can go ahead and take a look at the course that I have done there. But in reality, let's say maybe you just wanted to how can I make sure I can ace my class if I'm not taking pre-calculus, or maybe if I am taking pre-calculus, what are some things that I can do? Well, let's start on the main things, okay? And this is my broken record. If you're going to ace your math class, there's pretty simple things that you guys kind of know, but it's pretty apparent that you need to do. And there's 3 things that I really feel are the essential pieces that you need to know to be successful in a math class. 1 is just doing the work, plain and simple. Whatever the assigned work, whatever you need to be doing, the homework, the reviews, all that stuff, you just doing the work. Now, there's a little caveat to that. Sometimes it requires maybe a little bit more. Sometimes you maybe are not prepared for the course as well. So, doing a little bit extra work might be part of doing the work, right? But you have to be able to do the work. If you're planning on acing your class, passing your class, you got to be doing your work, right? Copying. And again, it's okay if things don't make sense initially, right? And but you have to make sure you're going back and completing that work. Then number 2 is obviously it's pretty obvious, but again, you'd be amazed on how many students are not doing it, which is getting your questions answered, right? When you don't understand something, rather than just letting something fester and say, oh, well, I don't want to feel stupid. I don't want to ask the question. Go after school, talk to your teacher in, private after school or in office hours, or, get with a friend, get with a tutor that has no idea who you are, or whatever may be the case. But you got to get those questions answered, because what happens is, as we all know, that question builds into a misunderstanding, and then that's going to show up again and again and again. And it could be in later chapters, it could be on a test, it could be on exam, but either way, we all know that it keeps on showing up from on there. And again, it's eventually just going to, hurt your grade. And then the third thing is really reflecting on your learning, right? And so what I always like to, tell students, when you get something wrong, that's when you get a wrong on your quiz or in your test, you have to analyze, football season was just showing up, right? And it was amazing. I was listening to some of the football coaches, and one of their things they always say is oh, well, we liked, what was going on, but we got to analyze the film. And I remember from playing sports, we were always analyzing film. And why? Because you're seeing what you did right, you're seeing what you did wrong, and you can reflect and you can make a game plan, right? And then going into the next week. Well, guys, math and learning is absolutely no different. When you get back an assessment that your teacher has spent time grading, right? Then they're giving you their feedback. Here's what you got wrong. Here's where, what you got right. Focus in on that. If you got something wrong, you need to understand, hey, I didn't understand how to do this. I need to make sure I can correct this and correct it. Go back over it and fix it. I'm amazed by how many students think that there's some kind of magic piece, to it. If you got 5 problems wrong on a quiz, redo those 5 problems, make sure you get them right. Right? Because again, if anything else, even just sports, there's muscle memory to that. You're going through a problem that you got wrong. You're going through it again. And you're correcting that mistake. You're doing you're going over it. You're getting it right. Well, guess what? Some part of that is going to show up again, as we just kind of talked about, when you're doing your homework and then you have your quiz and then you have your test and you have your exam, right? Like all of that content and stuff is going over and over and over again. Like it's going to show up again. So you want to make sure that you are prepped, prepared, know what you did wrong, you fix that, and you actually have gone through that example. Okay. So that is the absolute same stuff that I'm going to say if you go take geometry, if you do calculus and everything else. However, there are a little bit of caveats, right, for every other class. But hello, I see your question. Like if I would say the exact same thing for like what I just said is it doesn't matter whatever course you're going to say from there. Now let's go and talk about a little bit of pre-calculus, because obviously the live stream is how to ace pre-calculus. So there are a couple things with pre-calculus though that is going to be a little bit different than the other courses. Okay. So I think with a pre-calculus that, sorry, go ahead and put that in oh yeah. Okay. So go ahead and, what was I going to say? So anyways, with pre-calculus, yeah, how to ace pre-calculus. Okay. I was losing my train of thought. So we go through all those. I think one of the big things that, with pre-calculus that I definitely want for, what was I going to have this? Sorry, that's get me confused. Oh, how was I saying? I lost my train of thought with my pre-calculus. Sorry, I was blanking on this. Okay. I totally lost with my ace on my pre-calculus. So as far as with ace pre-calculus, all right. So here's where a lot of students are going to make their mistakes with pre-calculus. Okay. And so one of the things that I get all the time is beginning of the year. And this is one thing I wrote about in my email that, email today, that a lot of students will come to pre-calculus like, hey, okay, I think I got it back. Awesome. So hopefully you guys are back into there. Let me know, put in the comment, because I was reading through these comments and I was just getting to my jam. And I do apologize, guys. I'm in Florida. There's been a ton of rain that's been going on. And yeah, so I had to restart the modem. Restart my router. I haven't had I don't think that's ever happened on a stream. That might be like a first time event going on. That's pretty interesting. You helped me out in middle school. I'm not sure. But let me know, guys. Make sure that I am at least coming. Awesome. Yes, I am back. Okay, cool. All right. So, let me get to your guys' questions. I was just on it. I started getting into this and George, long time to see George here. Before we take it. Okay. So yeah, that's where I was at. All right. So let me kind of get through. So let's get to these. So again, I apologize for that. So let's go and talk about the ACE pre-calculus, right? That's where we're at. And just to kind of do a recap for any class, guys, I don't care what class you type in. Hey, I'm taking this. How do I ace this? Like, do the work, right? Do all of the work. Do more than what you need to do. Like, do that work, right? Get questions answered. Like, make sure you're asking questions. Get help whenever you need it. Help is going to show up. It's going to happen. Make sure you get help. And then also reflect on your learning. Reflect on what you got wrong. Reflect on what you learned, right? Keep a like rolling history of that and going through, like, always reflecting on what you know, what you don't know, and being able to improve throughout the whole year. Those are like the 3 key elements. Now, pre-calculus is a little different from other courses. So let's talk about the ways that, hamper students from earning an A and not, right? Because the number one thing that students always ask me at the beginning of the year, or like their goals they always want, is like, I want to get an A. And it's pretty easy to be able to identify like if students are going to achieve that or not, just based on a couple factors. Okay. And this is where I was starting to lose my mind. I couldn't remember it. So let's just talk about the number one. And then now I'm like losing my train of thought again. So there's 2 reasons why students do not earn that A in pre-calculus. The first one, I think that was it. Yes, I think it was. I lost my train of thought. Anyways, let's get into it. I don't want to hold up. I'm not trying to do any drama for you or anything else. So the number one reason is it's not because they don't get an A because they can't handle pre-calculus topics. It's because of the basics of pre-calculus, like the foundation, the algebra, right? So if you've followed my channel in the last like 2 weeks of these live streams, that's why I've focused in on the pre-calculus diagnostic test, as well as the getting ready for pre-calculus, right? So last week I talked about that, getting ready for pre-calculus, making sure you know all the foundational stuff, right? Because that's where students struggle with pre-calculus, is not knowing the foundational stuff. And they're not able to understand the foundational stuff. And so they messed up on the algebra. They forgot how to factor. They forgot fractions. They all of that other stuff. Everything that we're learning in pre-calculus, they can like grasp, but what's holding them back is the algebra. So they got it. Like a lot of students are like, oh, I got an A last year in algebra 2 or in college algebra. Like I'm ready. Like I've always been good at math. I've always loved math. And then it's for, without fail, every year there's always students like they're not getting a B or, A, and they want to blame it on anything else, right? But it's obvious that they are struggling with the prior content. They didn't, even though they might have done well, they didn't do as well as they thought. They didn't understand the material as much as they thought they did, right? So it's very important to make sure you have that foundational base. That is probably one of the number one issues for you being successful in pre-calculus. The second reason, or the second way that students are going to be successful or get that A in pre-calculus is learning how to study math. And this is a huge one because I think for so many students, they go through their whole math career and they don't understand how to study, right? And I think a lot of students, they just kind of like walk into like getting A's. And I don't mean that like walking in like it was easy, but I'm saying like walking in, it's kind of taught to them how to be successful in their math, like in their course. Like, hey, do your test, like do your quiz and then do these homework problems. And then guess what? Your test is going to look very similar to that. And then or your quiz is going to look very similar. And then your test. And it's basically like once you learn the system of your teacher, it's basically just like you can get your A if you're willing to put in the work, right? And unfortunately though, with pre-calculus is kind of everything gets changed there. You are now kind of entering into that upper level of mathematics, and the demands of you being able to kind of like study and learn how to study and learn how to prepare for a test and a quiz is much larger on your own, right? And so what I always tell students is like, it is not just enough just to do your homework. It's not just enough to do it's not just enough to like read, like study for like your test review or stuff like that. Like that's the very basics, very, very basics. If you want to get an A in pre-calculus, you got to make sure you're going above and beyond. Like I would make sure that you're doing practice problems from your homework. You should be doing something every night, not just the practice problem, but you should be doing some spiral review, like doing always problems from like the last previous days or chapters and anything like that. Like you should not be studying for a test the night before and that's it. Like every single day you should be doing something around the math course. And pre-calculus is like one of those first ones where I'm like, yes, you're always bringing back previous stuff that you have been taught. So I would you should be doing problems every single night, even if it's like 3 to 5 of them, but constantly keeping that stuff fresh in your brain, right? But always doing practice problems. You should be going over your homework. You should be going over your quiz. Remember I talked about the reflecting, everything that you got wrong. You should be making sure that you're practicing over and over and over again, that stuff. And making sure that you're getting them right. Because yeah, if you got something wrong in your homework, it might show up on your test. If you got something wrong in your quiz, it might show up on your test, right? So like what better way to make sure that you're prepared for your test, then you have fixed all of your other areas where you've made your mistakes. Where I think in previous courses, like you could probably like, oh, that's where I made my mistake, right? And then you just kind of like show up to your test and like you do it right because the problems aren't more difficult. Like once you kind of get into pre-calculus, you recognize that the problems are usually a lot more in depth, right? And they're going to be a lot more complex for you to deal with. So just like knowing you made a mistake and then like correcting it, later isn't always going to work or the best practice. And then the third thing, which, I've talked about as well as like my favorite study tool, is like creating a cheat sheet. Doing problems is great. Practicing problems is great. But the problem with pre-calculus is, I'll teach a concept in pre-calculus and then there might be like 15 different like variations to that concept. Right. And like, I don't have time to teach you every single possible combination of a problem. Like I have to teach the general idea and then you have to be able to apply it. Right. And so we have to be able to make connections between your rules, your theorems, your definitions, your examples, right? And be able to expand upon that. So that's why I like creating a cheat sheet for my students or having them create cheat sheets so they can make those connections inside their course. Sorry, they can make the connections, as they are studying. And then, so when it comes into a test or a quiz or a final exam, you have these cheat sheets that you can rely on and review over and over. And studying is hard. Like, so many times students are like, oh, I never had to use to study before. Or, I always could just like do my homework and then like I would get A's on my test and quiz. And like, yeah, that can serve you very, very well for a very, very long time. And for some students, it's going to serve them for the rest of their life, right? We all know those students from in there. But I'm assuming most students that are watching a live stream on how to get an A are not those students that can easily just walk in and always get an A on their testing quiz without studying or without putting a lot of effort, right? So most students are at this point where they're like, hey, I want to kind of know those little tricks. Like, what are some of those things? And yeah, unfortunately, there's really nothing that I am providing that's like, oh, this magic pill. It takes work, it takes effort. But I do want you to understand, like, if you are going to get your A in pre-calculus, more than any other class, right? If you're going to get an A in any math class, before I even go through these chats, let's go through again the main things. Do the work that is required, right? I can't even tell you how many times, if you just do the work that you are asked to do, right? Just the bare minimum, the work that is required in the class, make sure you're doing it all, right? That is number one. Number two, get your questions answered. If you don't understand something, ask, get help, however you need to, right? Even how small of a question, go to the tutor lab, go to see your teacher, get with a study group, like whatever you need to do, get your questions answered and ask them often. And then number three, reflect on your learning. Know what you're understanding, know what you're not understanding, and constantly keep on adjusting from there, okay? Now for pre-calculus, you got to make sure you know your fundamentals. All the algebra 1, algebra 2, and geometry stuff that you were supposed to know, you got to make sure you know that material. You got to make sure that you are caught or you are ready and prepared for the course by going over that material and staying strong with it. Okay, that's why I have my diagnostic test and the get ready for pre-calculus, because those are the most important things for student success in pre-calculus. And then number two is you got to know how to study you got to understand how to study. A lot of students can get by, or a lot of, not a lot of students, but like, a lot of us can get by in our math class by just doing the homework, doing a study review, studying the night before, blah, 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 like we're ready to go. But if you really want to get that A, and you're stretching yourself on pre-calculus, making sure that you are going above and beyond on the studying. And that's, creating your cheat sheets, doing the extra review, doing spiral review every single night. All that stuff is really going to help prepare you and make sure that you are set and ready for success in pre-calculus. All right. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys. If you have any other additional comments on that, let me know down below from there. Hey, Danny, happy to have you on. And I know there was quite a bit of comments, so I'm going to try to go through these as much as I can for you guys. Bob, the same thing. Calc 3 is going to be no different than anything else. So I remember my day from, hey, Brian, I'm so glad I found you. I remember you from my high school days. Well, hey, Dal, I'm happy you for joining in. Thank you. Yeah, no spam. Thank you, Christy. Good to have you on. Douglas, I returned to college 25 years after getting my first degree and the only required basic algebra class that I aced. Now I'm having to do MAT 189 and 110 for calculus. Well, awesome. You got this. Best of luck. And yeah, I can only imagine what it is like going back from all that. It's like, I'm sure it's a lot. So, go back through, like, just make sure you like stay consistent and do a little bit every single day or night as you possibly can. You are very welcome. Malik McBaldy. God, man. Guys, everybody has to go with the bald. All right. Hey, Brad, I'm in math analysis right now, and I don't know if it's advanced algebra or pre-calc. From what I've seen from a math analysis, and like I said, you can look at on my in my pre-calculus, you can look at like kind of my syllabus of what I cover. I think that's pretty close to the math analysis. I'm assuming you're in Canada. That's where I've seen most students that are taking not a math. I can't remember actually. Math analysis or advanced algebra. No, yeah, math analysis, I believe. I mean, it's not a direct exactly from everything I teach in pre-calculus, but it's very, very similar. I actually don't do anything with my head, so it is just soap and water. But I guess I think it's the lights and gets the glow from on there. How do you improve math? Well, everything I just went over from on there. I got this calc book, not pre-calc, right next to me, and I thought I could just skip algebra 2 and pre-calc and figure out calc 4 for some reason. I always thought I just studied advanced material. Well, hey, I mean, like there are like everything that I went over, everything that I talked about is for a certain student that was kind of like myself, right? Somebody that, was never like had to work hard for like the A or the B, but could do it, right? But math did not necessarily come easy to them. They might have struggled or had experience struggling in the past, but was definitely not the student that didn't have to put in didn't need to put in any effort and could always like math always made sense to them. That's not the student that my advice is for, right? But like, hey, like I I get it. Like everybody has different experiences with math, and like, hey, if you're able to challenge yourself or skip some grades or not have to do some things, like you know, go for it. Like I don't think like my advice is a box for everybody, right? So I that's good to hear that. Um, I always thought, yeah, that's good to hear. Like keep on going with you, but obviously you can see like there is a limit sometimes to our own capacity what we're able to do. Brain energy. I have really hard time remembering things. Do you have any tips for remembering complex? Yeah, I mean, I would do the cheat sheet, and write because that's like writing down all the stuff that you're learning right on a sheet of paper. So I think creating more and more cheat sheets would be very helpful. Um, I would just go back through everything I came into on this stream, and yeah, I would just reiterate that all over again. So yeah, make sure you get ready, get yourself prepared for the get ready stream, and yeah, go from there. And then make sure you do the get ready for that, and then obviously like if you're starting to struggle, like I'll talk a little bit about my course as well for on there. A third of our in the past 3 months, I've gotten all the math books for dummies. Those have been great reviews. Yeah, I can definitely imagine for sure. I mean, confidence, I think just comes with success, right? So, start small, get like little successes and try to do little bit by little bit, little successes every single day. Cause if you're just going to try tackling and like hoping that a test or a quiz grade, like it's going to give you, confidence, like, you put a lot of stress and pressure on those tests and quizzes and it's not always going to work in your favor. That's just reality. So I think, try to maybe set smaller goals and try to do something more frequent where it's like, all right, let's try to learn some certain things by today that is possible and something that's like a little bit of a step and then just keep on building from there. Well, thank you, so happy to have you. I have a no calculus section for my pre-calc final and do not know how to do math without calc. Where do I start? Yeah, I used to use a calculator for pre-calculus and then I stopped using a calculator for pre-calculus. So it's kind of a little hard, I mean, you got to relearn some mental math. And I think it I don't really, um, I think it just kind of starts doing some of the basic calculations, stop doing some of the stuff that you always reach through your calculator. Like start remembering how to do things written out on a sheet of paper. Right. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess I'd probably start with there rather than trying to always referring back to your calculator. Like we get so used to it, especially when we have access to it. Try to avoid going back to it and just start practicing doing stuff without a calculator, doing it with pencil and paper. Well, thank you so much, Chrissy, for the super chat. Using older resources from previous classes help. Yes, for sure. Absolutely. No, not at all. I usually good in class and I get work done on time and answer questions, but whenever a quiz or test come, I do horribly and it annoys me. Do you know why? I usually do good in class and get the work. Yeah, you're not prepared for your tests and quizzes. I mean, you gotta put in more work, right? I mean, that kind of comes into like the studying part that I was talking about for pre-calculus. You're gonna have to do more work. Like, let's just give yourself a number, right? So whatever you've been doing to prepare, right? And you feel like you understand the material, you feel like you are prepared, right? So let's just give that number an 8, right? Well, let's go more. Let's do 11, right? Put in more time, put in more effort, do more practice problems, do a better cheat sheet or whatever else you need to do. Like, it happens all the times. Like I remember like I used to do quizzes. I would do all the homework problems. I did all the homework problems, and I'd still bomb the quiz. I reviewed the notes. I'd study for it, right? I reviewed the notes. I did the homework problems. And then I was like, I still wouldn't do good on the quiz. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why, I did everything I was supposed to do. And guess what? It just wasn't good enough. And there's nothing wrong with that. It just, whatever I was doing, I needed to do more. Right. And that kind of comes down to this comparison trap, like comparing ourselves to others. Like some students don't need to study at all. And they're going to get A's in math and they're going to understand everything the teacher, they actually don't even need the teacher. They don't need the book. Like they're going to understand the material, right? But you got to understand who you are and what you need to do. And sometimes doing the bare minimum is not enough. Sometimes I remember like when it was, there was some classes where I would literally do all the extra practice problems that were in the book because that's what I needed to do. I knew that I needed to go above and beyond to be successful in that course. So that's what I did. I did all the extra practice problems. Okay. So, I think you just got to be, that's where that reflecting, you got to be honest with what you need to do. And sometimes just doing what the teacher is asking you to do is not enough for you to do as well as what you want. Right. And maybe you're getting C's and maybe you're happy with C's. Great. Maybe you want an A. Well, then you need to maybe do more work to get that A. And that's fine. Right. That's just, kind of understand where you're at. Absolutely. Yes, for sure. It's like, what method do you follow to get most out of it? I'm not really sure. I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't understand. I can relate, and everyone else in my class just understands it the first time. Yeah. And I would say, I mean, more likely than not, that is not the case. So don't feel like that. But, it is a very common theme. It very like common thought for sure. But, like you got to get over that fact of like you don't understand something and like ask questions. Even the person next to you, like, you just got to get over that fact. Like we're all in the same purpose of we're all trying to learn. So, some way, somehow, like if it's, raising your hand in class, if it's going to see your teacher or professor after class, getting a study group, getting a tutor, like find a way to get your questions answered. And it's okay. Like you're not understanding something exactly like that. Like that is completely normal. I don't think I ever understood something in a class. Like it was always like a day or two or a week later that finally I was like, oh, now that makes sense. Right. I study every time I get back from school. That's good, and review whatever I got from math. But whenever I take a test, I get scared. Yeah, I think I don't have the confidence. But thanks for yeah. No, I mean, and maybe you are doing everything you can be doing, but maybe the other reason why you're struggling with your test is confidence and stress, and anxiety. Right? That's another proponent that I didn't bring up. But yeah, that can definitely help, and that kind of comes in with confidence, right? That kind of comes into like getting some things right, like getting the tide working in your favor. I kind of doing another math football analogy. Like they were talking about like sports, like, the sport team was, like ups and downs are going to happen, right? You're going to do good on tests. You're going to do, you're going to do bad on tests. Like you have to be able to understand, you have to be able to reflect and adjust and come back from it. Right. So, don't dwell if you get a problem wrong, or if you're struggling or you're not understanding the material. Like, for any course, there's a lot of content, a lot of material. And that's one thing I like about pre-calculus is, you can fail. Like I've had students fail tests and quizzes and then get A's and then get A for the whole year. Right. So it's like, you're going to have those adversity. Right. And I think it just kind of comes in building your confidence slowly. And you can get, but yeah, and, um, building your confidence slowly, and you'll start seeing some success. But yeah, taking tests with like high anxiety and stress and pressure is going to impact your ability for sure. I am live. I'm taking my first calculus class this year. What would you say the biggest obstacle is for most students doing well in calculus? Same thing I would say for pre-calculus. It's knowing the basics. You got to know your algebra, your trig, all that kind of stuff. Like most students do not struggle for calculus because of calculus. They struggle because they do not remember the stuff they're supposed to remember. So just like I would tell students in pre-calculus to make sure you are studying your basics from like algebra 2. I don't have a get ready for calculus course like I do for pre-calculus, but I would say the same thing. Like make sure you're going through the pre-calculus material. I mean, even my course that I'm offering here, would be like a good review. It's a little bit more overdue for you for calculus, but there is a lot that I cover. Even get ready for pre-calculus. A lot of that is going to be applicable to get ready for calculus, right? The factoring, the fractions, stuff like that. Like you're going to want to make sure that you have the basics prepared. So anything really in algebra 2 pre-calculus, I think is going to set you up for that. No, I mean, no other major tips for that from there. Your old videos helped me ace my math exam. Well, thank you. You're very welcome. Yes, for sure. I would definitely agree. Let me see if there's any other questions on that. No, awesome. Okay. Well, cool guys. Well, I did want to go over at least one giveaway for you guys. And if you guys do have any more questions, like feel free to always add them in. But I always like, so a couple things, if you guys recall, I've been going through some free tutoring sessions and with students that have entered in on that. So let's go through a tutoring for that. And then if you guys have any other questions, I'll let you guys know a little bit more about, my course. I'll go through any of those. I'll kind of go through any more of the details on the course and stuff like that. But let's go and do a giveaway. And the giveaway, again, I'm changing it up for you guys. So if you are interested in a free 30-minute tutoring, so the thing is, like, a lot of things that I have going on are going to be, or at least that a lot of things that I have going on in terms of in the course is, like, obviously the course is like paid, right? The Get Ready for Pre-Calculus is paid. So I always like to make sure that I have, something still with like the every single week we'll always do like a giveaway for a free 30-minute tutoring. So one thing that is a part of the course, though, let me kind of tell you guys a little bit. So if you guys are interested in doing the giveaway, just go ahead and type in math help to my previous video. It's in the description. I also just put it in the chat. But I want to kind of go through a little bit of the things with acing pre-calculus, just a kind of quick review for those of you maybe are just hopping on the stream. And then also kind of let you guys know a little bit more about the course and where it's going. And if you guys have any questions on that, let me know from there. So first of all, if you're going to be successful in any math course, you got to make sure, number one, you're doing the work. Number two, you got to make sure you're asking questions or getting help when you need it. And number three, you have to be assessing like your understanding, like, getting, fixing your mistakes, right? And making sure you understand like where you need to kind of focus in on, right? Now let's go and talk about for pre-calculus. Like, how does pre-calculus differ from any other course? Well, number one, students struggle. If you want to get an A in pre-calculus, you got to make sure you know your basics, right? You got to make sure you know those fundamentals, because what pre-calculus expects of you is that you understand all that previous stuff that you have learned before, okay? So you got to make sure you know the foundational stuff. Number two, you also need to know how to study. That is like paramount with pre-calculus, is making sure that you are not just kind of going through the motions, but you have to be able to making sure that you understand how to, creating those cheat sheets. I think doing the work, doing extra work, fixing your mistakes, like doing spiral reviewing, doing extra practice problems from there, all of that combined is going to help you get that A. So why am I talking about this kind of stuff with the course? Well, the reason being is because obviously in the pre-calculus course, if any of you guys are, interested or you're taking pre-calculus, the pre-calculus course goes through my full curriculum that I have, basically, that I taught within the classroom. And in addition to that, there is obviously, when I'm talking about like when students need help, like I want them to ask for help. So that's why I do offer the private Discord server. And then also I have a free month of tutoring that students can be able to, or a free month of group tutoring that you can have. And then also you have a free 30-minute call with me, which is kind of like that call a teacher, like whenever you need access with that last minute, like I need help, like every single person that goes through my pre-calculus course, not only you have the free week of tutoring, or free month, of tutoring, which is like 4 group tutoring calls, which you can like renew, but there is like the first free month is going to be free. But also after you go through that, then you also have the opportunity for a free call with me, just like we're going to have on our giveaway, right? So you get a free 30-minute call, and that's only through the course students. So I do not offer consistent tutoring through any other option except for the students that are in my pre-calculus kind of course. And then the other thing is, like, as far as studying, I think for students that, what I found for a lot of students, and I was talking about this for some other students there, that they said, oh, I'm doing all the work, I'm doing the homework, I'm studying for a test, but I'm still not like getting through. And it reminded me, like when I was a student, sometimes I needed to do more problems that were provided, right? I needed to I remember doing problems in the back of the book, right? Just to like doing extra problems that were not even assigned. So therefore I could get that A. And so in addition with like my curriculum, right, where you're just going through like, any math content you're going to get. But one of the things that I do have a lot of on my inside of my course is a lot of practice examples. So you have online quizzes where you can kind of like check your understanding. but then also you're going to get all my tests and quizzes. So when you're studying for a test, and this is like one of the things that, I mean, to be honest with you, if I could just make like one little like course quiz, if it was just like, hey, to get you an A to pre-calculus, like I would just give away my tests and quizzes, because like when you're coming in to take a test, I used to give this to my students. Like, and literally sometimes I'd ask them like, hey, how'd you do so well? They're like, I literally just took your last 2 years tests, studied them, right? Saw what type of questions you're asking. And then like that helped me prepare for this year or for your test, for this year's test. And I'm like, yeah, that's basically what I'm telling you to do, and so like if you can go through I have, I think the last 2 to 3 years of quizzes and tests all bundled together as a part of this course, right? It's as a bonus, a part of the course. So when you're studying for those tests and quizzes, if you can look back through like a treasure trove of content, which again, all those tests and quizzes have worked out examples and video explanations of me going through the work. So if you're not understanding how I did a problem or you need more of an explanation, you can always go ahead and look at the key or go and look at the video of me working through the content. And FYI, all my quizzes as well as my tests also include a multiple choice as well as free response. So no matter however kind of test you're going through, and then and also in addition to that, we have the homework, which is usually like 4 to 5 questions I would give to my students. 4 to 5 questions on free response as well as multiple choice, as well as, which I was talking about, the studying, the spiral review, because that's where I found that students were struggling. The students were only doing what was necessary, but they weren't spiral reviewing. So that's why I started including spiral review inside of my curriculum to help students overcome the constant studying, right? Because when you have when it comes into like the test, or when you come into like the final exam or a semester exam, right? It can sometimes be overwhelming where like we're talking about like confidence, like, holy crap, I have so much stuff I need to remember. Well, what if you've been doing like, what if in the last like 8 weeks, you've already done like 30 problems that were spiral reviewed? Like you're already halfway there for studying for that curriculum, right? So that's the power of those homework assignments that I have within the course, that you can constantly review, constantly spiral review that content. So that is something I bring in as far as well to help you study with the material. So that's everything just kind of studied to be successful in pre-calculus. That's obviously within my course. As I mentioned, you have the group tutoring, you have the Discord server, you have the 30-minute call with myself. And then also you have all the extra reviews, all my tests, all my quizzes, all my online reviews, and obviously, of course, my curriculum videos, like not on YouTube videos, but my private videos, worksheets, notes, guided notes. All my guided notes are the actual like the notes from the classroom, like me working through all multiple examples. And then and then if you are worried about the foundations for pre-calculus, that's what I've been talking about the last 2 weeks, which is also in the description, by the way, which is the getting ready for pre-calculus, as well as the diagnostic test. So if you're not sure if you need the course or whatever else, that's perfectly fine. Check out the diagnostic test. Check out the get ready for pre-calculus. I know not everybody is in pre-calculus on the stream, but again, everything that I talked about in the stream, I'm hoping can be beneficial to you. And I hope you guys have a great week. So if you guys have any questions, let me know either on the course on this, or I just want to kind of go through all that, or just being happy in your class. We'll see. Oh yeah, and also just a reminder, I know some people were on it in. I am going to do another giveaway here in just a second. And again, all you have to do is type in #mathhelp to that previous video. Well, awesome, William. So happy to hear about that. And unfortunately, Chrissy, I want to get into more of the calculus stuff, but I'm just kind of actually working through the calculus material now this year. So you will start seeing more calculus on my channel from on that. Okay. But yeah, unfortunately, as far as like tutoring, I need to go back and review a lot of that stuff for it to, I got to go back and review way more of it. So I probably won't be able to do like one-on-one help for that. Oh, hey, Justin, good to have you back on. All right, so let's go and do a giveaway then for some tutoring to go ahead and do that. Let me go back through. Measuring the word problems for converting angles from raised. I mean, I have videos on converting between the two, but I'm not sure about word problems converting between the two. Seems a little. I'm not sure about that. But yes, I do have tons of videos on converting. Marguerite. All right. So I did change it up. So rather than doing like last week's live stream, I FYI for those of you that do follow as far as like the tutoring, I'm not even sure how many people are gonna, probably not that many follow on because I didn't even tell you guys as far as on there. But yeah, basically, if you guys go into the description and you guys see, I'll post the kind of giveaway kind of rules from there. So therefore, you guys can go to whatever video that I have selected, and then you guys can type in the hashtag math help, and from there. Well, hey, thank you so much. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Give away some tutoring. Let's see the video. Oh my God, we only have 99 likes. We need to get 100. Come on, can somebody else throw me an extra like, please? That'd be awesome. Just to get over the line. I'm like, we can't end the stream with 99 likes. That's no fun. All right. And there you go. Thank you so much, guys. All right. So let's go and switch this over. Boom. All right. So again, it is in the description. It's also in the chat. This is I think my video on my compilation. It was kind of a weird video. I have many, many more compilations that I'm going to plan on doing. But yeah, this is my first one. So you haven't watched it. It was kind of like going back through and like just bringing some old videos together and teaching a concept. So rather than like making a new video, which I'm going to be making anyways, but rather than like making a new video, just like bringing some of those old ones together and making a new video. So I'm interested to kind of hear you guys. So feel free to let me know in the comments what you guys thought about that one. But anyways, type in hashtag math help on that one. I don't even know if we have anything else. No, we're going to do keyword filter. Let's see. You might be like the only person, if there might be like one person that did it, hopefully, and then they get tutoring. Let's see. Ooh, wow, 2 comments. See, I told you there's only 2 of you. Rona, I knew you'd probably be in there. Good to have you on, and congrats again for getting some tutoring. So just go ahead and reach out to me on Discord or on Instagram, and we'll get you all set up. And Logan, make sure you are following along next time. It is not math help in the stream chat. It is, or not math help in the stream chat. It is math help in the video in the description. So go ahead and take a look from that. No, I went through a ton of advice in the stream. I would just go back through. I mean, the same advice as everything. Like I'll just go through for any math class, guys. Any math class. Make sure you're doing the work. You got to be able to do the work. That's the absolute number one. Number 2, ask for help. Get your help. Whenever you don't understand something, whenever you start to struggle, right? Whenever there's little gaps in your understanding, like make sure you're getting help. Get a tutor. Get with study group. Whatever. Get help. And number 3, make sure you're assessing your learning. Like make sure you understand. Like, wait, when you don't understand something or when you get something wrong, like when you like are not understanding something, or you get something wrong in your test or quiz, like make sure you are learning that material, like going back over it. Don't just like let it, shift on there. Making sure you are, reflecting on where you are in the process and like making sure you're being consistent with your learning and everything like from on there. Yeah, I knew eventually you would get back in there. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to have a extra night because we don't have school, so I don't wake up. Well, I don't have school, but my kids don't have school, so I don't have to wake up or at least go through the early morning routine. So I'm going to take advantage of that. Go ahead and check out the pre-calculus for those of you who are taking pre-calculus or are interested, and hope you guys have a great week. Cheers.